After an incredibly hard-fought battle for the top spot, in the end, it was the Trek Slash 8 that managed to claim the title of our 2021 Enduro Bike of the Year test. So why did it win? Well, for me, it was how well it managed to deliver a lively ride yet still be the ultimate in chaos calming composure when you really started to push it hard. It helps that the spec is incredible for the money, and let's be honest, it looks great too, doesn't it? For those not in the know, the Slash is Trek's 160mm travel enduro bike, and for 2021 it's had a significant makeover compared to its predecessor. The Slash 8 is the second cheapest bike within the 8-strong Slash lineup, and if you take a look at the spec sheet, you may well find yourself double checking the £3,450 asking price, as it really is that good. The Slash has always performed well with us over the years, and the latest version offers updated geometry and tweaks to its suspension platform. This includes a new rear shock, a longer travel fork, and some internal frame storage. I found these updates have combined to up the Slash's performance on the trail. It manages to deliver fun and playfulness as well as control by the bucket load in the ugliest of terrain. Before I get stuck into the Slash 8's review, let me give you a little more information on this year's Enduro Bike of the Year test. In all, I was only able to test 8 bikes this year. Due to the global pandemic and a surge in bike demand over the last 12 months, actually getting hold of bikes has proven extremely tough, especially so when you consider I'm trying to get all the bikes to fit within a £3,500 to £4,000 budget. Due to these issues, I had to be a little more flexible when it came to pricing. But thankfully, things didn't stray too far either way, with the pricing spanning from £3,450 to £4,200 in the end. Once the bikes had landed, I could get stuck into the fun bit and hit the trails. I rode a variety of trails back to back to get a good idea of how each bike performed. The trails I rode varied from natural, steep and technical to higher speed bike park tracks. It's at this point I need to say a massive thanks to Bike Park Wales who, despite being closed due to COVID-19 restrictions, still allowed me to come and test there. Obviously their uplift was shut, so testing took a little longer this year, but it's safe to say that these bikes have seen more miles, both up and down, than ever before. But what makes the ultimate enduro bike? I wanted a bike that could be comfortably pedalled uphill, as well as offering all the traction and control to allow me to smash the downhills. At the same time, it needed to retain enough pop and pep to keep things feeling fun and exciting. So on that note, let's get stuck in and find out why the Trek Slash 8 came out on top this year. Let's start with some detail on the frame. Travel has been upped to 160mm at the rear, and this is matched with a longer travel 170mm fork up front. It continues to be delivered via Trek's active braking pivot suspension system, which places the chainstay pivot concentric to the rear dropout. While this might look totally unchanged, Trek have moved the main pivot up slightly to increase the anti-squat levels and make the Slash pedal more efficiently. Controlling that 160mm of travel is the proprietary RockShox Super Deluxe through shaft shock. This design features a shock shaft that goes through the damper body and exits out the bottom of the shock when compressed. Because the shaft doesn't displace any extra oil as it enters the damper, it does away with the need of the usual dynamic internal floating piston, or IFP. Ditching the IFP should help reduce the friction, and in theory at least, should make the back end of the Slash feel seamlessly smooth and incredibly active. It's also worth noting that the Slash will work with a standard shock as well. Where the Slash differs from almost all other aluminium frames is that Trek were able to build in some internal frame storage. Slide the lever below the bottle cage downwards, lift the cage and hatch door up, and you'll find a handy opening where you'll be able to squirrel away a tube and tools rather than carry them on your person. Trek includes a tool roll to help prevent things rattling around once they're stashed inside. While the down tube shape has changed slightly with this latest iteration of the Slash and now offers enough room for the fork crown to clear it, thanks to the subtle curve that's just behind the head tube junction, Trek have stuck with their steering limiting knock block system. Knock block stops the bars turning past a certain angle, preventing them damaging the top tube in a crash situation. Knock block 2.0 offers a much greater steering angle before it stops the bars from turning, but if that's still not enough for you, it can be removed. Trek have also moved to a wider diameter seat post, opting to go with the less common 34.9mm rather than the more popular 30.9 or 31.6 alternatives. While you'll find fewer aftermarket alternatives should you wish to upgrade your dropper post, it's worth noting the benefits that this broader diameter brings, the main one being more space internally for the dropper post mechanism, which should help to produce a post that's both more reliable and stiffer. When it comes to the geometry, the Slash has been, like most other Enduro bikes in need of a makeover, stretched out, slackened or steepened. My medium frame offers a very reasonable 450mm of reach. That's a massive jump of 25mm in the low setting over the 2020 model. Trek have relaxed the head angle for improved high-speed stability and paired it with a 42mm offset fork in a bid to create the ultimate composure through the rough turns. I measured the head angle at 64.1 degrees, a measurement which is now pretty much standard for bikes like this. The seat angle has been steepened in a bid to improve climbing efficiency by 2 degrees, putting the rider's hips more directly over the bottom bracket. With my saddle set at just under 700mm, I measured the effective seat tube angle of the Slash 8 to come in at just over 76 degrees, again measured in the low setting. As you may well have picked up on, there's 2 settings to choose from, low and high, which can be accessed via the minor link. Switching between the 2 settings will alter the head and seat angles by 0.5 degrees and the bottom bracket height by a substantial 8mm. In the low setting, I measured the bottom bracket to sit at 344mm off the floor with a drop of 29mm, which certainly isn't bad for a bike with this much travel. Effective chainstay length has increased by just 2mm up to 437mm, and this remains constant across all frame sizes. Of course, the frame is only half the story here, and as I've already mentioned, the Slash 8 comes with some great bits bolted to it for £3,450. The proprietary RockShox Super Deluxe Ultimate through shaft rear shock, which, for a start, is impressive to see on a bike at this price, is paired with a Lyric Select Plus fork, which pumps out 170mm of travel. It gets the Charger 2.1 RC damper, which allows you to finely tune both the low-speed compression and rebound damping. The SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain offers a decently wide spread of gears, thanks especially to that wide 10 to 52 tooth cassette. Again, it's impressive to see a drivetrain like this on a bike at this price. That said, Trek have saved a little cash by opting to use the cheaper X1 cranks with a stamped steel chainring rather than the sleeker GX Eagle equivalents. Stopping duties are taken care of thanks to a set of powerful SRAM Code R brakes. At the lever, there's a tool-free reach adjust, which is handy for dialing and lever setup. The rest of the kit on the Slash 8 comes courtesy of Trek's in-house components brand, Bontrager, who supply the bars, stem and grips, as well as the rather firm Arvada saddle. Bontrager also take care of the wheels. In this case, it's the Line Comp 30s, as well as the tyres. They've spec'd their XR5 Team Issue up front with their lower profile, narrower XR4 Team Issue at the rear. All in, my Slash 8 weighed 15.25 kilos. So what was the trek like out on the trail? When it comes to going uphill, the Slash feels incredibly easygoing, especially considering the travel on tap and its outright intentions. This is partly thanks to the easy rolling tyres and just how stable the back end of the bike is when seated. At no point did I reach down for the shocked lever to firm things up, as I never felt the need to. Instead, the Slash manages to sit relatively high in its travel and remain calm, with little in the way of suspension bolt. As the shock doesn't sink too deeply into its travel, the Slash manages to maintain a relatively steep seat angle, which puts you in an efficient and comfortable position for climbing. Even on the steeper pitches, where I was really mashing at the pedals, I never once felt the need to firm the shock up. While the 610mm effective top tube isn't massive, it is longer than a number of its contemporaries. While I wasn't overly bothered by this on the shorter climbs, I really started to appreciate the space this created when seated on much longer climbs up the hill, and combined with the effective seat angle, meant that at no point did I struggle with the front wheel lifting or wandering. I'll admit that I also spent a decent chunk of time using the big 52 tooth cog on the SRAM GX Eagle cassette, which, after spending a long day riding lap after lap, really helped preserve energy when I was feeling particularly fatigued. Now let's talk about the really exciting bit, going downhill. Thanks to its well-considered proportions, the Slash offers up a well-centered, confident ride position, and it doesn't take long to adapt to. When pointed down steeper, natural trails, I was instantly impressed by how well balanced the bike felt and how active the back end remained. And this is despite the lack of bite from the XR4 rear tyre, which, doesn't offer quite the same in terms of corner traction or braking grip compared to the likes of a Maxxis Minion DHR2. The front tyre is a little better, but when properly leaned over in a soft muddy turn, the shoulder tread doesn't dig in quite as well as others, which can make for some pretty dicey moments when the tyres break traction. Thankfully, things remain quite predictable, so you know when you've reached their limit. Still, there's no knocking their rapid rolling speed on smoother, harder packed terrain. It was when riding a dedicated jump trail that I started playing around with the low speed compression settings on the rear shock. In the default 0 setting, I was finding that I wasn't getting as much support in the mid-stroke as I would have liked when loading the bike from turn to turn or pumping up takeoffs. Switching the low speed dial to the plus position helped to cure this, and while Trek say this setting is designed for the exact type of riding I'm talking about, I never found any drawbacks when riding other types of terrain while in it. Throw the /8 back into technical stuff and its confident manner really starts to come to the fore as the speeds pick up. Stove it head on into a boulder field, and the way this bike deals with the chaos is seriously impressive. The Slash's super supple suspension recovers rapidly hit after hit, and it manages to track the trail with pinpoint accuracy without sacrificing any of that much loved liveliness or pop. The support through the suspension coupled with that taut feel through the frame ensures that you can really feel a difference in speed as you pump through every single bump. That reactiveness and rapid pickup from the Bontrager rear hub also means that getting back up to speed after tackling a slower section of trail doesn't feel anywhere near as laboured as it can on some super plush big travel rigs. It's easy to hold on to speed too, even when things get really ugly. Here, the calm that the Slash exudes is simply incredible. While the wheels frantically bash through the bumps beneath you, it feels as if the chassis barely flinches, isolating the rider from the worst of the feedback and remaining steadfast with no awkward pitching back or forth. It's this illusion of tranquility that the Slash manages to conjure up that gives you what feels like extra time to make those split-second decisions. While you'll ride the same section of trail on other bikes trying to simply regain your focus while your eyes are rattled round inside your head, the Slash's ability to hoover up the chunder with relative ease makes riding faster a whole lot easier. And that's the whole point of these bikes, right? Overall then, I hope you can see why the Trek /8 managed to clinch the top spot of our Enduro Bike of the Year test. Of course, if you disagree, please let us know in the comments. We do really read them. Thanks to its impressive climbing manners, tidy frame details, good geometry and superb suspension, the new /8 really did win me over. It took some back-to-back testing to really highlight just how impressive it can be when tackling the rowdiest terrain though. While others like White's G180 might feel a little closer to a downhill bike in many ways, the Trek's composure in the rough coupled with the fact that it still feels that bit more agile, poppy and playful is what helps to make this bike truly shine. Yes, some better tyres would really help improve its performance when it comes to tackling steep, natural, muddy trails, but considering the price, factoring in extra rubber at the point of purchase certainly isn't exactly a deal breaker. The /8 impressed on a multitude of terrain, time and time again, and I was constantly in awe of the speed that this thing could carry when things got really rowdy. But what do you guys think? Have Trek done a good job with the overhaul of their new Slash? As always, let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and click on that little bell icon so you're always informed each and every time we upload a new video. Thanks for watching.